The steering system used in many modern cars is a rack and pinion steering system. The rack and pinion is comprised of multiple components including the universal joints, main and intermediate shafts, and at the center is the steering rack or gearbox. The steering rack is essentially the heart of the steering system. When the steering rack wears out or breaks entirely, it reduces the ability to steer your vehicle. If this happens while you are driving, it can be extremely dangerous. Symptoms of a bad steering rack. 1. Steering wheel play. If you notice excessive play or looseness in the steering wheel, where it moves more than usual before the wheels respond, it could be a sign of a worn-out steering rack. To check for play, all you have to do is turn on your car and try to turn your wheels by barely touching your steering wheel. The amount of slack you notice in the steering wheel is the play. 2. Tight steering wheel. A steering rack in poor condition can make it difficult to turn the steering wheel, especially at low speeds. The modern rack and pinion steering systems are supported by a power steering unit that utilizes hydraulic pressure to allow easy and quick steering wheel handling. When the steering wheel feels tight or is harder to turn than usual, it's typically due to the steering rack or gearbox building up more heat or a loss of hydraulic pressure from the power steering unit. 3. Steering wheel gets stuck. If your steering wheel gets stuck, the steering rack could be the culprit. If the rubber boots that shield the tie rods get ruptured, debris and water can enter inside the rack and wash the grease. Lastly, if left for too long, the rack can corrode and jam. 4. Leaking power steering fluid. A bad steering rack may develop power steering fluid leaks from the O-rings and boots. A leaking steering rack can cause power steering fluid to drip onto the ground. Look for puddles or stains underneath the front of your vehicle. Low power steering fluid levels can also lead to difficulty in steering. 5. Normal noises. A worn or damaged steering rack can produce clunking, knocking, or squeaking sounds when you turn the steering wheel. Due to the metal-on-metal friction or deficiency of lubrication in the crank pulley, you could also hear a clicking or clunking noise, which is not an engine tune when driving. You can clearly notice this sound if you are turning and hit a bump at the same time, like when you drive into a driveway. 6. Burning fluid smell. A less common warning sign of a damaged steering rack is the smell of burning transmission fluid. Since the power steering fluid itself smells like burnt oil, the strong aroma of burnt oil will be present when the steering rack is hot. If this occurs, stop your vehicle immediately, find a safe place to park your vehicle, and call a mechanic as soon as possible. 7. Uneven tire wear. A faulty steering rack can result in uneven tire wear. If you notice that the tread on your tires is wearing unevenly or one side is wearing more than the other, it could be due to a misalignment caused by steering rack issues. 8. Steering wheel vibration. A damaged steering rack can cause vibrations or shuddering in the steering wheel, especially when turning or at higher speeds. This vibration may be accompanied by a lack of responsiveness or a wobbling sensation. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe the channel.